Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about specifically healing triggers and clearing the bodies. Now again, this has been something that has been incredibly common in the past several years of the work that I have been doing, and a lot of it really entails people dealing with triggers, right? And I would say about 80 to 90% of this actually involves women more together than men as well. Men, of course, do have triggers. That does happen. But with the greater extensiveness of triggers, this is actually found in many more women than men, simply because women are much more open to their emotions and to their feelings than many men have. And with a lot of the sessions that I have done in the past, I've had maybe about 70 to 75% women and about 25 to 30% men. Okay, so more women come to me and connect with me and tell me a lot about what they're going through. And pretty much all of them have these very, very intense triggers. And they, again, are concerned. They feel that they are stuck. They feel that they're at a crossroads and they don't know how to get out. Brad, I don't know how to follow my passion. Brad, I don't know how to follow my joy. I don't know how to understand my purpose, my nature. I feel like I'm just stuck. I feel like I'm at a crossroads. I feel like someone's blocking me. I feel like there's horrible energy all around me that is preventing me from going forward. What sort of force, what sort of being is doing this? Now, of course, going back to many of the videos that I have done over the years, I have told everybody there is no outside force blocking you. There is no outside force contaminating you. There is no outside force giving you nasty or hostile energy, because there is no outside force, period. So, when we are looking at triggers, what does that mean? What is it that these triggers are? So if I was to have a definition up here that says trigger, it's letting you know that you are experiencing an out of alignment sensation. A sensation that is telling you you're out of alignment. Because what you have done is you have made that situation relating to that trigger so horrible that as soon as it comes up, poof, you get hit with rage or hit with upset, you get hit with sadness or despair, because you have spent so much time taking a shovel, filling it with dirt, and throwing it on top of this emotional trigger. You have made something of yourself a taboo. You have made something so forbidden that as soon as something that represents itself comes up, you become shocked. You get blasted with this trigger that hits you. Well, you're getting hit with a trigger because you have made this emotional state something so deep that all you think you can do is throw dirt upon it. But it's like a hand, raising itself up from the soil like a zombie. And every time that trigger happens, that hand pops up. And here you are frantically hitting the hand and telling it to say, get back there, I buried you. And again, what happens is more hands start to come up. It's like Night of the Living Dead. All of these hands start coming up from the grave. You think you buried them. You cannot bury your fear. You cannot bury your despair. You cannot bury your depression. You cannot bury your traumas, abandonment, rejection, abuse. You can't bury it. It's not possible. So, when you are getting triggered, you are again haunted by something that you just don't want to touch. It's taboo, it's forbidden, it's a curse, it's a hex. I don't want to touch that. But it keeps coming up over and over again. Why does it keep coming up? Because it's your energy. It's what you yourself have created. Everything that represents life from A to Z, from A to Z, is everything that you have personally defined. You have made it what it is. You have made your best friends. You have made your enemies. You have made your acquaintances. You have made your family. All of it you have created. You have constructed. You've given meaning to it all. So when you are feeling that something is taboo, that something is so greatly forbidden, and you're just trying to bash it down with these hands raising up from the grave, you are in absolute shock because you haven't healed yourself. And I get quite a few people say, "Oh, Brad, but I've done so much work. I've done so much work, and I've done all this, and I've worked on it for so many years." And like, sorry, you haven't. You have worked so many years to bury it under dirt. You have spent so many years to start digging and creating this 6-foot grave so that you could throw it in and then bury it alive. That's what you're doing. You're burying your emotions alive. They don't die when you bury them. They're coming up, and they're again reaching that hand up. The hand from the grave is coming up because you haven't healed it. You've buried it. For years, you've buried it. And so that's why triggers cause you to react the way that you are. Okay? And again, a lot of people say, well, I have to be careful with the people I'm around. I have to be careful about where I go because I'm very, very sensitive and I don't want to interrupt my sensitivity. You're not sensitive. You're triggerable, right? And basically that's what this does. This is you at the crossroads, right? And there's a big brick wall that's at the crossroads where you can't go any further because you have made yourself so triggerable that again, you'll get freaked out by everything that you come across. So this person says this word, trigger. This thing happens in reality. Oh, trigger, right? You encounter this situation. You encounter this person. You encounter this event. You see this thing on the table. Boom, trigger. Trigger, 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 trigger. As I said, what is a trigger? It is a sensation reminding you that you're out of alignment. Okay? That's the sensation. It's pointing you to the finger that says, here's the hand out of the grave. Here's your abandonment. The hand's up. Here's your rejection. The hand's up. Here's your abuse. The hand's up. And we keep fighting this. We feel that we have to bash it to bits. You cannot destroy your emotions. They are energy. They are consciousness. They are undestroyable. You cannot defeat them. You cannot, again, try and pour a bunch of gasoline on the fire and thinking that that's going to make it go out. That's what a lot of people do, okay? I'm telling you about my own experiences because, believe me, I've had a lot of triggers in the past as well, too. I've had a lot of problems with past relationships. I used to have money problems as well, too. Career problems, all of these things. And the one thing I did not do was pick up a gas can and start dumping it all over the flames. And now I get like a gigantic inferno here. So many people do this. They constantly pour gasoline on the flames, and now it becomes a raging inferno, and they burn their house down doing it. And when you, of course, burn your house down, you feel abandoned, you feel rejected, you feel abused. Your trauma is at its highest. Well, guess what is happening to the planet Earth right now? So much light is coming upon this planet that no shadow has an opportunity to hide anymore. It's completely in the open. And again, this is going to go more than just past the surface. It's going into the bowels of the planet. And it's going to pull out all of these weeds, right? The weeds have been growing for such a long time. Now the weeds are finally being pulled out. We're pulling it all out by its roots. This includes what you're going through the depth of yourself. You're now starting to see these weeds being pulled out by the light because it is your illuminated being that is pulling these weeds out, pulling them out by the roots. And again, people get frantic. They get crazy. They start to just, freak out because they're getting triggered and they're getting hit with all of these bombardments of triggers left, right, and center. It's not because you're sensitive. It's because you have buried things. So, Brad, what do we do? What do we do about these triggers? Well, here's what we do. This is, again, what I teach in the EQ method. We have to look at what our triggers are pointing to. Triggers are hands, right? They're a sensation that's telling you that you're out of alignment. But in that way, they're a finger and saying, look over there. Many of us will go, oh, I don't want to look over there. I don't want to look. No, dear God, no, please. But when we have the courage to actually look at what the trigger hand is pointing at, we look at that. Here's my trauma. Here's my abandonment, my rejection, my abuse. And so what I do is I take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and I say, okay, trauma, show me yourself. I'm not attaching to the trauma. Okay, very important. I'm just looking at the trauma relating to its intensity. I'm feeling it through the memory. And it's like the memory becomes a river, and it's pouring itself into the center of my chest. Okay, like a black ball is there. And I'm just placing my hands upon that ball, and I'm allowing this memory to come in. And I experience the entirety and the intensity of that trauma. Now I measure it on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 being, this isn't intense at all. 10 being, this is extremely intense. So after that memory has come through, I've assimilated it. It's now in the center of my chest. I'm looking at it. It feels like a 9 out of 10. That's how intense my trauma is. Great. That's what we need. So now what we do, we start taking deep breaths in, deep breaths out. We come to center. Okay? We align ourselves. So we take deep breaths in, deep breaths out. We keep doing this. We keep breathing in, out, until you are 100% calm. When you're 100% calm, feel this energy of the breath that you have put into yourself softening you. Feel yourself as soft as a feather, as soft as a pillow, whatever you want to call it, but you're getting soft. Now that you've made yourself soft, you take your hands and you move it over to your heart and saying, all right, I now know the intensity of my trauma. Now I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to go into my heart, and I'm now going into my abundance dimension. I'm going into my perfect space. And now as I'm going into my perfect space, I'm bringing in love. So I'm in a beautiful environment. Maybe it's like this. Maybe it's like what you see in the background here with my green screen, right? It's a beautiful starry night with a grid behind me. Hey, that's possible, right? It can work, right? Maybe it's a beautiful beach. Maybe it's a meadow. Maybe it's a forest. Whatever it may be. Let your imagination soar, okay? Let it be something that brings you to instant ease. And now we have that beautiful environment. Everything feels very tranquil. We're going into theta state. Okay, when you do the EQ method with me, I teach you how to go into theta state. It's quite simple. Okay, and now we go into that. Everything feels real to us. The body and the mind are in sync. And now we call upon our loved ones. We call upon our guides. We call upon our angels. We call upon the essence of God. And we bathe ourselves with pure love. So we feel our angels embracing us. We feel our loved ones embracing us. We feel complement left, right, and center. We feel the entire environment saturating us with love, compassion, and forgiveness. And we keep doing that, and we feel like we're becoming lighter than air by filling ourselves with so much love that now the scale feels like, on a love scale, 10 out of 10. Feels amazing. Great. Now what we want to do is that we have all of that love energy contained in our heart. We're putting that towards the darkness. We're putting that towards our trauma. And now our trauma is being dissolved away entirely because we have brought positive reinforcement to our body, to our being. So that trauma isn't there anymore because you have completely saturated yourself with so much love. And you feel this love so profoundly, so strongly, that you have now completely dissolved that trauma altogether. There's no room in your heart for trauma because you feel love, you feel great, you feel like you're just walking on clouds. And now you look at that trauma and say, I forgive you. I forgive you. I love you. I bring you compassion. Gone. Just like that. So you keep breathing in, you breathe out, and you feel this love coming into you. It's pouring upon your chest where the trauma is, and it's melting it away. It's completely melted. And then boom, it's gone. And now we start putting that love energy into our chest where the trauma was, and we allow the veins of the love to go through our body and clean it out. I've just given you a preview of the EQ method, okay? That's part of it. So this is what we're doing. We are replacing all of that trauma with love. Love comes together. Love melts it all away, okay? I'm bringing this out to you guys right now because a lot of you need it. A lot of you need to work with these traumas. And again, what we're doing after the EQ method is we are putting so much daily love exercises together. So every morning, every afternoon, every evening, even if we want to do it a couple of times a day, we're going into our perfect space. We're filling ourselves with love, and we're putting so much love into our hearts. Everything that is traumatic, everything that is in lack, melts away completely. That's how powerful the EQ method is. This is what I did before I started doing the light codes, right? Before I started doing the spirit healing, which is, again, even more powerful. But this is what I've been doing with the EQ method that helped completely transcend so much harshness that I was going through. Relationships, money, all forms of different forms of problems, you could say. Even my own personality, right? Completely dissolving away limitations, barriers, right? Clearing all of that out as well too. And I still do this, the EQ method, to this day, even though I can do the spirit healing, apply, right? Boom. That happens, and that is super powerful. But there's times where I just want to go into the EQ method because I love the relaxation that it brings. I enjoy, being in that beautiful, tranquil environment. Like I said, like the nice background here, right? And just going into that love and just dissolving all of that love away, okay? That's it. So when you start getting used to doing this on a daily basis, you're clear. You're feeling right as rain. You're feeling divine. You're feeling beautiful. It's like you look at these situations that once triggered and you say, it doesn't bother me anymore because I've made peace with them. I've forgiven them. I've brought them into compassion, into joy, and they're melted away. And if I feel that remnants of those traumas still come back, well, then again, I go into my perfect place. I build up my love and I wash it all away. Now your reality changes. It's like a Rubik's Cube, right? You're shifting. And now everything around your reality starts to shift. People who were bullies in your life now start to depart, or they change. They become supportive. They actually come up to you and they're apologetic, or you apologize to them, or whatever it is that happens. There's a great change that takes place because you've made the difference. You've made something happen much more positively with that pure love. And of course, this leads us into the second part about being able to clear the bodies. So Jonas has talked about this before, right? We have the 4 bodies, just basically summed up in the 4. The physical body, mental body, emotional body, spiritual body. Now, again, like I said, a lot of people come to me and start running over to me and say, Brad, please, there's so much bad energy around me. Everything feels harsh. It feels horrible. I feel like I'm going through all this terrible torment, and I just feel like I'm emotionally defeated. I feel I can't discover my purpose. I feel like I'm at a crossroads here. What's going on? Your emotional body is wounded. Your mental body is wounded. Your spirit body can be wounded. And again, it can get hurt, it can get cut, it can get lacerated, just like our physical body can. Okay? So when we're going through something that's a very deep, powerful, traumatic experience, if my body here is the emotional body, we're cut. And again, like I said, the habit is take the shovel and bury it. Take the shovel and bury it. Go to the pharmaceuticals, grab your drugs, start throwing down drugs upon yourself. And again, that does nothing. The wound is still there. Okay, your pharmaceutical drugs are not going to heal your emotional and mental and spiritual wounds. They're going to make them worse. Because all you're doing is like you're taking a bunch of Tylenol and you're just numbing yourself from the pain. And now your arm starts to turn gangrene. But you don't care. You're just pumping these pills and you're trying to make all of that go away. We have to treat our emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies like our physical body when they are wounded. We need to nurture them. We need to nurse them back to health. It's like when an animal gets lacerated. They're not just going to sit down and cry to the moon all day long for the next several days. No, they go and they tend to their wounds. And they continue to tend to their wounds until they're completely healed. They get up and now they can continue with their life. Well, this is what we have to do emotionally. This is what we have to do mentally. This is what we have to do spiritually. You need to tend to your other bodies. You need to clear your other bodies out. Just like what I shared with the EQ method, okay? The equivalence method. The exact same thing. So you notice that gash around your arm. You notice that gash in your heart, gash down by the kidneys, wherever it may be. Because again, that's what happens. Our emotional body, when it's wounded, it'll show up in some particular area of the body. Show up in organs, show up in our arms, our shoulders, our back, our spine, everywhere. So we need to treat that. Okay, the good thing about the emotional body is it's actually a lot easier to heal than the physical body. Okay, while we get to that state of mastery, certainly we can start to feel like great accelerative healing takes place in the physical body. But the emotional body and the mental body and the spiritual body are actually much more simple to heal than the physical body is. The physical body is a little bit more challenging because it's so dense. But when we're looking at the mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, they're much more lighter. And they all represent states of being. So again, just like I talked about with the EQ method, you're bringing positive reinforcement, you're putting love into yourself, and you're dissolving away these obstacles. You're dissolving away these excuse me. You're dissolving away these old wounds. And so as these old wounds become dissolved, you're now feeling that your entire bodies are being refreshed. They're being replenished. They're being revitalized again. That's what the grand degree of clearing yourself out is all about. It's about coming into love. It's about bringing so much love into your heart. And again, it's like the veins are growing and they're spreading into areas of the body that need to be healed. So we have to take care of our emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies just as much, if not more so, than the physical body itself. Yes, the physical body is a temple. Yes, it's great to respect and appreciate it, take good care of it, give it its basic needs. Okay? But work with your emotional body, work with your mental body, work with your spiritual body, because they are lighter bodies. And it's all about the shifting of your state of being. Rather than coming into so much trauma, you're now coming into love and understanding. And that is us clearing out our emotional, mental, spiritual bodies. So keep this in mind. If you are feeling out of alignment, if you're feeling triggerable, if you feel like you have nowhere to go, it's not that you don't have somewhere to go. It's that you have obstructed yourself in this view where you feel you can't see anything because trauma is too strong. Okay, it's like being inside a cube, and all of the walls of the cube are painted a certain color, and you can't see beyond the cube and saying, well, I feel like I'm stuck. Of course you're stuck. You put yourself there. You're not willing to shift. You're not willing to help yourself. You're not willing to heal. You're not willing to work and clear the bodies. You're not willing to clear away your triggers. That is what's going to make all the difference. Now the cube shatters, and now you see what's beyond the horizon. Now you understand you can walk towards your passion. You can enjoy whatever your purposes are. And most importantly, you're working with your spiritual nature again. Because now the windows have shattered. Those old tinted windows that you could not see beyond have shattered. The obstructions are gone. You're no longer at a crossroads. You're now following a single path that Spirit themselves is guiding you. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Namaste.